is Kym Frank. I am the CXO of Intermix, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
Greetings from Kansas City. This is Renee Benson at AV Renee KC. So happy to have Kym Frank back joining us on the AV Life, but you are listening to and watching the AV Life.
Hey everyone, this is Murphy Daly at Written by Murphy, author and AV veteran. I am so happy we have the band back together. We're on a mission from God. You're joining us for the AV Life.
James here, as the other two said. Great to have Kym back. Now we just need to get Spence back, and we got the full band together. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host or lead singer of the band, Tim Van Wert. And yes, we are most grateful to have Miss Kym Frank back with us. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
Woo!
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
I
we
feel
have
like we need
Kym
a
back.
big woo.
I know we did. I
Round
don't know
of
how that's going to
applause.
come out. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to come out on my
Thank you.
microphone, but yes, welcome back, Kym. How are you?
I am so happy to be here. It's so good to see you all and really excited to be back on the AV Life. Making a lot of life transitions, which have been really exciting and really good. And, now getting back into the swing of things, going to lose some COVID weight, get my pants back on and re-enter society. So
I was gonna say I have to go find my pants first. It's
know,
I
right?
feel like I've
Yeah.
been sitting behind a virtual desk for so long.
Right.
Do you
I don't
really
know
want
about
to
you guys.
re-enter society?
I used to spend a lot of money on clothes, and I just don't ever buy clothes anymore. But when I do, I buy just new versions of the same clothes I already owned because I wore them out because I wore them like 3 times a week for the last year. So
Yeah.
I own like every shirt in every color it comes in, and then that's it. I'm not buying any other clothes.
Well, the funny part is going on appointments now, things are a lot more lax. So like it's a lot less dressy and more like jeans and an NEC shirt is acceptable to anybody now, where I would have never done that before. Luckily now they make jeans a little more flexible in the,
Thank God for spandex.
I drank too much in the COVID era.
I really wish someone would do a national study and assess how much weight collectively the United States gained over the last 2 years.
I don't want
Like
to
just
know
do
that.
a survey and like just roll it. I don't need to know individually, but collectively, how much more does this continent weigh?
Let's just say a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would say let's go check, people's medical records, but nobody went to go to the doctor because nobody wanted to go to the doctor, or the doctor wasn't seeing them. So,
well, but you know what?
even...
I have like half and half, because half the people I know went and did all the, the workout things at home, like the what was the bike called?
Peloton.
Like the Peloton and Mixed Fitness and all that stuff. And so it's like, okay, so if you're going to spend 1,500 or 2,000 or 4,000 or whatever that was, are you going to really work out? Like, so there was a lot of people I know that like, oh God, COVID was good to you because I got whatever you lost.
So
I blame it on that Peloton wasn't shipping when I tried to get it.
You think it's like a break even, Renee? I don't think it's a break even.
I don't know. It might be more like, there's a handful that were in the Midwest. I can speak for us. We're just all bigger. But it might get better now because steak is so expensive and meat is so expensive. It might be like, oh, we're eating ramen noodles. Or I don't know.
Now you guys just have all the milk. I loved how in the Midwest there was like milk on tap, like soda.
We like our meat and potatoes and milk and eggs,
like,
and that's just
all the protein.
Yeah, we're those people.
Well, I was to say it's funny because like I didn't realize like how, I guess, out of shape I was until I went to go. So I took part a couple weeks back. I took part in a dad's basketball game as a fundraiser for my son's school, and like running up and down the basketball court was not nearly as easy as it used to be.
See, you should have just stood right there.
Oh, there were dads that did that. There were some dads that kind of like,
You're
oh, I'm
the-
going
Just
down.
stood there.
All right,
Like
I'm
in
here.
hand. Yeah.
Oh, but are you like 6'8", Tim? Like you
Yeah.
could have just
Oh,
stood
yeah.
there and swatted balls.
He's
No.
Yeah, well,
TPOAV.
Yeah,
TPOAV.
TPOAV. Yes,
Tall
I am
person of
tall
AV.
person of AV. Yes, 6'4", and yeah. So yeah, it was, but yeah, I could have probably done that, but I was trying to be that, like, oh yeah, I'm that cool dad. I could still do this. I could, so
A minute to get
and now
to that point.
now I'm playing softball. Because I've took part in that. Now all the other dads know I can do things, so they're like, okay, let's go play softball. It's like, okay, so I'm becoming that dad now.
I just signed up for a co-ed volleyball league.
Cool.
And I think I'm the youngest person on it. So I'm like, okay, so
Oh,
everybody
that's
check your insurance policies. Everybody have a first aid kit on staff.
So I don't know about you guys, but I like stocked up on food in a freezer and stuff when COVID was coming down. And I've now realized like it's a lot of stuff has been sitting in my freezer for a really long time and we should probably use it. Although now there might be another supply shortage. So
No,
I don't
eat
know.
it
Like,
because everything is like twice as expensive now. So
But
Eat
we
it,
had-
eat it in portions, small portions, Kim.
we had like a million frozen hamburgers. And I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do? And I was like, oh, hamburgers is just ground beef. So I
Mhm.
started making like all of the things you'd make out of ground beef, but with like defrosted frozen hamburgers. And I was like, why did I never think of this before in my life?
So it's funny. It's funny. I actually still have the corned beef that was supposed to be. We were supposed to make Irish dinner for St. Patrick's Day 2
That's
years
first.
ago. Like we were supposed to cook, and that's when everything went down. Was like right around the same time. So I've got like 3 pieces of corned beef that are frozen in my freezer right now because they just
Wow.
never got used. So yeah,
We
I
were
understand.
like freezing milk and stuff because we were afraid we weren't going to get milk. So I have like a freezer full of
wow.
just the most random things. And
Kim, time to take it out. Start using your stuff.
For
You too,
real.
Tim.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
too bad
Whatever
I
you
didn't
guys are
stockpile
stockpiling in New
gasoline.
Jersey.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, right. Just don't go anywhere.
So yeah, Murphy, I cut you off before, so I'm sorry if
Yeah,
you were
we
trying
skipped
to,
that
if you were
from-
trying to segue us, I totally derailed that. So,
I wasn't even trying to segue. I was trying to talk about my sports adventures.
oh, go ahead. Talk about
Yeah,
your ass kicking adventures, or is this some other sport?
Well, I had an issue. See,
Ooh, battle scars. All right.
yeah, it's pretty, yeah, but in addition, the battle stars are on top of some muscles there. So that's what I've been
Yeah.
doing with my return.
What is that?
COVID. That's a muscle. That's well, actually, it looks worse. It looks impressive because what happened is the guy I was kind of sparring with did a sort of an Indian burn thing, and so it causes bruises, but it doesn't hurt that much, thankfully. It hurt a lot at the beginning, and then I put some ice on it, and it didn't hurt more. But I'm like, yeah, this is impressive. So I'm feeling badass because I got something to show for it. In a month, I will be getting my belt upgrade to purple.
Cool.
Nice,
Oh, that's
congrats.
amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I feel this is not something I ever thought would happen, but I always follow like what's the door, like what's behind that door, let's go try that, let's go see. To be fair, I'm also sporting this because I kind of it's it's not injured. Well, it's like a tennis elbow. I was doing too much with this arm, so I'm like, I gotta try to rest it. I keep thinking I'll be fine, and then I'm like, I keep favoring it. I've been favoring it for like a month. I need to knock it off. I don't know. Maybe I need to become friends with a chiropractor or something who can do some fancy things. Anyway, but yeah. So,
Are you a lefty, Murphy, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not that big a deal. And actually right
okay.
now I'm just setting it on the tabletop, so it's no big deal. And when I'm doing my usual day, it's fine. But I go to the dojo because I work from home and nothing else is happening, I go 5 days a week. So I'm really enjoying it and really doing it. And I'm like, maybe I need to figure out how to get this so it doesn't hurt.
Gotta
So
take a break.
this particular like semester was a lot of punching with this, they're like, this one is fine, but this one, I'm like, I can't go all the way or it hurts.
I bet she could kick my butt.
No, I would keep you from getting your butt kicked by evil bears.
He's using martial arts for good.
Yes, it's part of the
Not like in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I have been watching, the first season of Mandalorian with a lot of interest in what Gina Carano's doing. So
wow,
I totally binged Book of Boba Fett, so that's why. Like I in like a weekend, I like knocked it all out. Like so,
yeah, that can happen.
I'm caught up in Star Wars world. I'm still behind in Marvel universe because I haven't seen Hawkeye, and now Moon Knight is out. So it's like, or it's about to be out. I think it's next week. So or as you're hearing it this week. So yeah, I got to get through Hawkeye.
As grown-up people, James, what you're doing with your soccer crew, you're like, leading the people through the wilderness into the children of James
Oh, God.
through the wilderness into like good, exciting things in their life, like something to really chew on, really something to work on and get better at. But when you get to be a grown person, you're like, I guess I'll watch the next episode of next season. Like, what is it? You got to have something to look forward to, not that Boba Fett is not a great thing, but you got to have something. Like I'm glad to challenge myself, and I'm like, I'm an old lady. This is not, this is like what these young punk MMA people do, right? But I'm like, that's not me, but yet I'm gaining from it and I feel good about it. And I feel, like, yeah, I should continue in my life. I'll want to keep doing this. My goal is, of course, to get to black belt, which might take 2 more years. I'm like, why not? What else am I doing with my 2 more years?
Hey, if you're enjoying it, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're bettering yourself, and
Yeah.
you're doing something you enjoy. That's what matters.
So, and speaking of soccer for James, how is that knowledge transfer going over, or how are they taking your?
It's going.
Okay,
yeah, it's going.
it's going. Yeah, without going into too much detail.
That answers it, right?
Yeah, it's going.
All right. Well, I'm glad that's kind of moving along.
No virtual taking of the.
No virtual.
I mean, I don't know how
we're in person.
They asked you.
Yep. No, we're in person, handling things in person right now.
I was gonna say, yeah. Now I'm being pulled into the little league world, so I'm now an assistant coach of my my son's team. So it's a fun little world when you get involved, at that level. Like you as you get to know all the other parents and their personalities and things like that. So I'm starting to understand, James.
Oh, it ropes you in. I actually never envisioned getting involved. I started as, my daughter, who's now 11, going to be 12 next month. She started when she was 3, and I was like just a dad. And then they got into something where I kind of helped the coach. That brought me in as a trainer for the club, and then they asked me to coach a team, and then asked me to take over the rec program, and then they kept saying, "Oh, you're our future president." And then I took on 2 travel teams, and it's just blowing up from there. But yeah.
I'm already seeing that happen. Like last year was, dad on the sideline, helping, just kind of like generally helping out. Like he's like, hey kids, let's sit still on the bench while we're waiting for our turn. As I'm standing on the other side of the fence, because parents weren't allowed anywhere near the field because of COVID last year. So like we were kind of like hanging out in the back. To this year, all I wanted to do was just help keep the field looking good. I signed up for field maintenance. That's what I did. I got to the first meeting. They go, yeah, you've been promoted. I'm like, promoted? I was like, I didn't know this was a.
No
They're like, yeah,
terminate
we need you to be an assistant coach. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's great when you can be out there for the kids. And again, it's doing everything for the kids. I still remember the one year that I was coaching a clinic team. So these are 3 and 4-year-olds. And we needed a coach. No one would step up to coach. So I stepped in. I was coaching, and I was wrapping up practice, and one of the parents came over, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know how you deal with these kids. So like keep them all in order." I'm like, "Oh, just having fun, letting them grow." And he's like, "Oh, which one's yours?" I'm like, "None of them." And he's like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Yeah, mine's over there on the travel field training." I go, "I don't have a kid in this league." And he's like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "We needed coaches." Like, it's here for the
baby.
kids.
Yeah. Mm,
And we're doing it for the kids.
yeah, as it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So Murphy, I know we're kind of glancing at it, but do you have a PM minute for our listeners today? If not, it's okay, because I know I'm kind of asking you on the fly here.
No, I always have one. I think about it
She
when I'm
always
like,
has one.
Yeah, I know her brain is always working around that. So
Reason like 4,892,482 that we love Murphy, because she's just
yes,
always ready to
exactly.
go.
I was gonna
She's
say
ready to go.
I may never be prepared, but Murphy is always prepared. So
Always.
um, quick personal note, a couple years ago, many years ago, I joined Toastmasters and I went through their stuff, and they have a different system now, but I got to be like a distinguished a Toastmaster, and it's something. So I got like their badges or whatever. And then I joined again when I started working from home, just to have peeps to hang out with. And like 3 years ago. And when I joined that time, I was like, I want my focus to be on quickly speaking with a minimum of preparation. Just boom, get organized really fast and go. Short form. And I've ended up using that in my Hey You videos, which have gone on for 2 years now since
yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, just like keep it
I
short.
love them.
And have an arc, make a point, but don't have to go on forever. Just a little, hey everybody, how you doing? And so it's similar to what I'm doing with this PM minute as well. So
Cool.
sometimes they're more polished than others, but today the PM minute. I don't always know what's happening. And I could have a project and more than once be given something with like 0.5% of an idea of what's happening. Like totally no clue. And yet I've got to get it started, got to get it going. And the way to begin, my first step when I'm handed something like, I have no clue, and I've got to lead people. Oh yeah, did I mention Through the Wilderness? Yeah, wilderness again. But have to start with the low-hanging fruit. What do I know? Start with even like that half of a percent of the 100%. Like, we are here to do a thing, and the thing is just start with super basic and start with the low-hanging fruit. Call in all the people, like, okay, we're here to do something. Person on my right, can you tell us your understanding? And by the time you get around, I'll have an understanding. And they go, okay. and we're going to do this is the next thing. And maybe if nobody has a clue, like then somebody may have a clue of who to ask next, and just like start with the very basic, but you never have to stand still. I figured that is true for projects, and sometimes it's got to go, okay, I'm here. Like you were there to clean the field. Like, okay, well, it turns out you're leading everything now. It happens.
Yeah. As I tell people, I never know what's going on.
Turns out it isn't as necessary as I once thought. It turns out you can actually pick a direction, start moving.
I think that's. Go ahead.
James.
No, you go.
Isn't that like a hard lesson to learn, that it's okay to say, I'm not sure and I'll get back to you? Because you early in your career, you want to always have the right answer and you want to always know. But at some point you go, you know what? It's okay for me to go, let me check with the person who's working.
Oh, yeah. And also that brings up with like, let me make sure I understand your question. Be very clear. Okay, I will check and make sure to ask what you're asking for so I can answer it. And even just even understanding the question is a form of gathering knowledge.
Yeah, I think when I was previous career path, I was working for the YMCA, or the Y as they like to be referred to now. Exactly. I did so much of the YMCA. Like my arms are still tired from that. But they had a program. I think they called it Listen First. It was a whole structure about actually like talking to somebody and like repeating back to them what they've told to you. It's like, so that way you're understanding what they're saying and they also understand that you understand, so that there's no misinterpretation and things like that. So that echoing type of thing of like reiterating the question is actually it's a really good skill to have, to make sure you can get all the information and that you're understanding it appropriately. Because there are times, even with my boss, there are times where he'll tell me to do things and I'm like, wait a minute. So what I'm hearing from you is this. And he goes, well, sort of. And then here's the other things. So it's like, oh, okay, so that's really what I needed to know. So it's that digging a little deeper, so. And I've had Into the Woods in my head now. So thank you, Murphy, for that. Into the woods and out of the woods.
I feel like my first job out of college, Gateway Computers, to date myself way back when, and I was on the phones, and that was one of the things they taught in training. So if somebody called in and said, so what I'm hearing you say is you're looking for a computer that will give you this and this and this. Like you literally had to write down what they said, repeat it. Like back in the day when they trained you really how to do things the right way, right? So, and you really just repeated what they said. They knew you were listening, but then you were all on the same page, right? You were all on the same page. And just like you and your boss, Tim. So what I'm hearing you say is this. It's like, well, let's try this.
Yeah. It's like, so it also helps because then they know how to, I don't have to do that as much. I used to have to do that a little bit more when I first started, but now he knows how to communicate with me. So like he knows what he needs to tell me and it straightens everything out. So the more you do that with people, especially like new people that you might be meeting, that it helps the communication flow going on. So,
and you know what I feel bad about for some of the younger people that do a lot of things via text. Like I notice that now, some of my younger customers, like they're texting me and I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. I guess I will text them back. But you don't always get the tone. You don't get the message. You don't get everything in a text message. You know what I mean? If it was 2 + 2 is 4 in a text, it'd be okay, but that's not how we communicate. And so it's challenging sometimes too, to try to communicate with somebody who is sending you things via text. And it's like, well, does he mean this or does he mean this? Because we're not on the phone having the conversation. So it's funny how we have to adjust too in this new day and age, right?
And another thing I'm noticing, and maybe it's just me, but I'm noticing, I hate using this word, but reading comprehension is lacking sometimes. For example, this season, soccer season, we can't use our fields because they're doing maintenance to it. So we're using the high school fields. High school, of course, does not have all the correct size goals we need for our program because they only have kids that are playing on the large nets. So they're moving some of our goals over. So I laid out in an email to their maintenance people where the goals were going and where they could pick them up and where they were putting them. And they put one wrong set at the wrong location. And multiple times I replied to the email saying, no, these need to go over in this spot. And finally, like the fourth email, he came back. He's like, well, I'll move them, but per your email, you said you wanted it there. I'm like, well, maybe I was wrong. So I went back and all my emails said, no, those goals were supposed to go the right location. He must misread it.
Yeah, we've got guys that we've worked with that need like those specific instructions, or like even as a follow-up to a walkthrough. It's like, okay, we did the walkthrough, but here's everything I'm going to lay out for you. So that way you had the walkthrough and you have my written stuff.
Yep.
So Renee, were you going to say something?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I was talking to
Sorry.
someone. I have a meeting in a few minutes and they're talking to me and I'm trying to do this. Sorry. I'm trying to multitask him.
That's okay. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure I wasn't like, because I
But
knew
isn't
you had
that the problem, right? I think that's why there's a reading comprehension problem, is we're all like reading while we're on the phone and we're in the middle of dinner. We're not dedicating the time to read things or do things. I know with my new company that I'm working with, we communicate on Slack all the time. And Slack is great because it's very immediate, but then there's like a million channels. And was it in my email? Was it in my Slack? Or did they call me? Or did I get a text message? Like, where's my notes? I can't find it in Slack. There's also this, like, there's so many platforms of communication now that the places that communication might be is sometimes even hard to find where was the thing where it was communicated to me.
Yeah.
So you know what? I have a girl coming over to my house tomorrow morning to help me with a remodel in my kitchen I'm doing. And she's like, I've got pictures from this, and this, same floor plan. I'm going to show you this. I'm like, okay. She calls me. She goes, the one kitchen I wanted to show you. She's like, I've checked my Instagram, my this, my that, my this, my that, my that. She goes, I cannot find the pictures. She goes, I know I have them somewhere, but I have so many platforms. I don't remember where I stored them.
We broke the internet.
I was like, so you don't even have like a cloud or like a, the Google photos or, like, she's like, I've checked everywhere trying to find you this kitchen. And she's like, I'm going to find it by the morning. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how hard is it to have a business and know, like, I don't know, you got to have files of some sort of like,
well, and then you get a new computer or a new phone.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, did that
or
not
it crashes? Your phone crashes, your computer crashes. Where are all the backups? And she's like, I cannot find this anywhere.
If you get your process, you're like, okay, well, we'll use these 3 apps and these 3 software, right? And then those get a devastating upgrade or they get bought by somebody else that kills them. So there's nothing you can do. We're done. We are sliding into the middle dark ages again.
I am so old too that I like confuse Slack with Skype. And I'm like, I Skyped it to you. And they're like, oh, are you sure it wasn't on AOL Instant Messenger? Like, shut up.
I think I lost photos on MySpace. So I think, if I'm going to date myself, that's where I lost a bunch. Just like when but my page is still out there. That's,
I was just talking
to
a gentleman who works for MySpace, and he said it's all still there.
Yeah.
Like they actually, like they keep it. It's there. Your profile.
Yeah.
There.
Some of the photos don't load up anymore.
AOL Instant Messenger. Remember Instant Messenger? The
Yeah.
I used to be a big ICQ user.
Yep, ICQ.
ICQ.
Me and Veronica watched War Games this weekend.
Oh.
How did that age?
Awesome. Watch it again, especially now because of the Ukraine. Totally watch it.
We were joking about Red Dawn, that Russia went from being like the bad guy to being kind of like irrelevant to being the bad guy again. So if they make Red Dawn again, they can go back to
Yeah.
having Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze and the Russians invade. I don't know if you saw the new version of Red Dawn. Like, calling it new is really an insult to anything new. But my husband had never seen the original. I was like, oh, you have to watch it. It's so great. Did not age well at all.
Oh, War Games was amazing. And even my 13-year-old was totally riveted. It was great. The
Huh.
phone on
Put it
the
on the list.
modem.
Yeah.
I
Well,
gotta watch
actually, you know,
that
that's
again.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a great segue. So like I've been feeling kind of nostalgic lately. It's interesting because a guy I used to do musical theater with, hence the Into the Woods that's in my head, and you know that's just what my brain does. It's Star Wars and musicals and AV like that. Those are like the three things my brain
That's
runs
a
on.
beautiful place.
I
That's
know
a
it
beautiful
is. It's
place. I
always
love it there
musical, which
too.
is great. um, so I was messaging with this one guy that I wasn't really in theater with him, but he was part of the same program I was, and we have the same friends. He's like one of those kind of guys.
Adjacent. Yeah.
He's an adjacent friend, yes, and or theater adjacent friend. Um, and we were kind of reminiscing about the shows that we've done and things like that. And I part of me got a little sad because I'm like, I think I'm beyond my musical phase, at least for right now, of like actually being in them, because I am an assistant coach in for Little League, got the podcast, I've got you know, this, that, and the other thing, and you know, just trying to be present at home.
Well, there's
So
the
you know,
stage dad phase that could come. I mean, my girl
well,
was
yeah, if
yeah.
my little guy ends up getting into theater,
Mhm.
beautiful. I will not turn him away from that. But yeah, so I started getting really nostalgic about that sort of stuff. And then, you know, Murphy, actually it was your brainchild to talk about our vintage AV. Like I think I so I remember like real simple things, you know. I remember one of the first purchases I made on my own was I think it was like a 27-inch RCA tube TV, and I went out and I think I got a VHS player and a DVD player. Like it was
I
like
did.
I went to Circuit City too. Like I remember exactly where I went to go get everything, and like I set it up in my room, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I think I sat there for like I was there for a couple hours one night just watching videos after videos after videos. Like it was just one of those binge things. It's like, yeah, this is in my room and I could do this myself. Like, and you know, like that was like my first AV setup. And then I remember I had Iowa, 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 AIWA, Iowa, stereo that I plugged the audio
Oh
into. So I got better
yeah.
audio off of the, yeah. So like I was doing AV like before I knew I was going to be doing AV. So it's just
Mm.
amazing how like that's where I started with that. And, you know, now I've got my home theater system that's like a plug and play, ready to go type thing. It's so simple now. But
I thought I was fancy this morning when, I mean, this is a little jump to the present and then I'll go back to the past. Thought I was fancy when on Instagram I took a selfie video of myself doing kicks and then I like edited it right there. I like trimmed off the edges and then laid on a track in Instagram in an app on my phone, which is like, this is the way we are. Like this is where we are now. But when I started, I was, you know, the poor child. And I was so excited to have the I saved, there was a coupon and me and my little teeny bopper friends, we knew about this coupon. We waited for the coupon. We saved it. It was a coupon for a very off-brand that you could buy at the drugstore Walkman.
hmm.
Oh yeah, with the headphones.
Mm-hmm.
That was fine, and the cassette tapes, and that was fine. But boy, it ate the batteries. So we had to get the recharge batteries. And this was all me. My parents are not having anything to do with this, right? So I'm like, I don't want to always listen on my headphones because the headphones are breaking constantly. Anyway, those are not good headphones, right?
Oh,
So,
they never were. No.
all right, because they came with the $10 Walkman. So I'm like, I can see the headphones. They broke, and there's this wire coming through. So I took the speaker that someone had thrown out and hot wired the headphones to the speaker. Yeah.
Very
And
cool.
that ate the batteries really bad. So I couldn't do it very much, but I could hear it out loud. It was just
That
the
was
one.
really industrious.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody told me. I just like, I bet I could. So
You had an AV mind right out from the beginning.
you know, strip the wires, get it out there. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
James, what about you? What was your favorite vintage AV?
I can't even tell you. Like, I never really got into things. I was more of, IT. I was sitting there at a computer and doing things. I'd probably say maybe doing my movie collections and burning DVDs with my Light Scribe burner.
Light
Oh, hey.
Scribe.
IT
Oh.
is AV.
Oh, IT is
totally-
AV.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't doing any real, I was doing more, IT stuff, not, I wouldn't
What
be
was your
doing
first
the
modem?
discipline of AV. I was, going to command lines and
Mhm.
doing things like that.
What was your first modem?
54K Bob modem.
56.
US robotics.
Yeah.
US robotics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
The
Those
56K
were,
had that little extra wow wow in it, the little, which the
well, you know what those
28
tones meant, right?
they meant I was about to enter the world.
It's
Those
the heavenly gates opening up to the internet. Oh,
basic,
Tell-
those
tell me.
tones actually were coded to a communication of how the modem and the communication was going. So that was like how the modem sent out to your ISP saying, this is what I need to connect. Yeah. So that was saying your 56K.
Well, that was all the way back, all the
Yep.
modem stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the modem stuff.
I was like, the 56K in particular had this cool extra jazzy wow
Yep.
thing, which the 28.8 did not.
Nope.
the more you know.
But yeah.
I was gonna say, and that's 2 weeks in a row now, James. You've given us little tidbits on that.
Find little tidbits here and there. Like I
Yes.
said, always
And
learning.
you had that background queued up there, Tim. That was well played.
My
Hostess was
collection. My collection here, like this goes back, Kym. I mean, you'll probably remember some of these old classic ones. Let's see, just real quick, and we'll go back up to it. Let's see, going all the way up here. Oh, yeah, there's my where'd my library go? Here's my library. I had this for like the longest time. Like this was the one I started with.
We were
this.
really early Zoom adopters because we were Zooming for like a long time before COVID hit.
Mhm.
And we played with all the Zoom doohickeys. Like
Right,
I even
and-
had like a real green screen that I used to pull behind me for podcasts.
I still have mine. It's on there. I don't need it anymore though, because now I could just do the virtual and it'll be fine. Like they've figured out that algorithm. So yeah, I
had like zombie backgrounds and everything's on fire background. Like we really leaned into hard on that Zoom tech.
Oh yeah, there was all sorts of. Oh yeah, they're the
You
rabbit.
had to invent stuff to keep up
gerbil.
with you.
Yeah.
Wow. The angry chinchilla.
So yeah, the angry chinchilla. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's just there's all these random things, and that was the thing. It's funny when we when the AV life was kind of before I took over, when Corey was still running things. We joked about that we should have the videos out, and now we do. It's like, so you get to see all the fun stuff that we are going through.
And if you haven't seen last week's, you need to go to the YouTube channel and watch last.
Yes. Go to YouTube, find the AV life. If you actually go to higheredav.com, go to the AV Life from there, click on the last week's episode, because now you're going to see this week's episode. So go to last week's episode. And yeah, you could click on
I'm
the
just
link
saying,
there.
It may or may not. It may or it may not be a portal to another dimension.
Yes. And I would also say you should be totally sober. And that means in any aspect, beverages, or if you are into the other realm of things, don't do those either, because you're just gonna. Woo. So yeah,
It's a trip on its own.
yes, exactly. There's no need to be doing
No need
anything
to
else with
add
that.
anything.
Yes,
Mm.
that's why I named the episode the way I named it. So, and you'll understand when you go to that. There really wasn't a lot from us as far as audio content. So Joe Way kind of took over in a visual aspect. So yes, you have to go there. I have been toying around with possibly starting TikTok as well for the AV Life. So I told Joe about that today, and he seemed very excited for me to do that. I'm going to be trying to get all the socials up for the AV Life as well. So keep an eye out for that over the course of the next couple of months. I want to have everything in line before Infocom. So just throwing that piece out there before I get too side railed. Kym, what about you? It doesn't even need to be, we started talking about modems and things like that. That's fine. So how about vintage technology? We'll make it a little.
I might be
widespread.
like older than all of you guys, because like when I'm thinking back, like in the Wayback Machine, when I was sleeping over my friend's house, and her parents had a laser disc machine, and we watched like a completely inappropriate movie. We watched Stripes, which was like not okay. But the whole premise of being able to watch a movie on demand, and it was like on a giant laser disc, was like,
I remember a laser disc.
Yep.
it hurt my brain and that was probably such an expensive technology back then. I cannot imagine what that would have cost. But I was very fortunate in middle school. So like 1987, my uncle worked for IBM, and I was given a computer. And no one owned a computer in 1980, like a personal computer in 1987. And I was playing King's Quest as like a 12-year-old girl listening to the George Michael album on loop. And I cannot hear George Michael without getting nostalgic for playing King's Quest, when the two things have nothing to do with each other. But it was like such a new technology, and we had a modem. I don't know how on earth to have ever used it at the time, nor would I know who to connect it to, because like no one had computers at the time.
Not in 87. They had them, but modems were tough.
Yeah, but what would I have connected it to? I don't know.
Bulletin boards.
So we had a computer, and it was
still
all
fun.
in like DOS.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good old
basic.
DOS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DOS.
And we had real floppy disks. What were those?
5 1/4. 5 1/4 inch.
Disks.
Yep.
That were legitimately floppy, and then they came out with floppy disks, which were not floppy.
Well, you know why they were called floppies.
No.
So
No.
it
You
was
should put your background back up.
James is I know James is going to tell us.
More you
so
know.
it was actually the medium inside was a floppy material. It was
That is true.
tape. Where the hard disk they are more solid. They're not floppy. Hence why I had the term floppy disk. And not the
Interesting.
casing of it. It was actually the recorded medium.
So one of my big
And leave
pain
them on
points,
top of a magnet.
I don't know if you guys ever did this, but they had like that Columbia Music Club, and you would buy like one tape and get like 13 tapes for free, and it had
So
all the
waiting for your
stamps.
$10.
Yeah, it was like $11.99. You paid for the first one, and then you somehow you subscribed, and you got like 3 terrible tapes a month. I had invested so heavily in BMG and Columbia tapes that I did not want to convert to CDs. So I was like one of the last tape holdouts that there were, and I still have them all because I know I spent like in teenage inflation into an adult, like it was like $1 zillion I spent in teenage money.
So you sound like you were a person who got a lot of things. But did you do that thing? Did you do that thing where you wait for the song on the radio and record it onto the tape?
Oh, hells yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Michael Jackson's Thriller. And I don't know if you guys ever had this. We had our cable box was a slider cable box. And we didn't have an MTV subscription, but if you wiggled the dial in between the two channels, you could kind of get a scribbly MTV. So we would get like this scribbly MTV and record Thriller on our tape.
Listen to Kym hacking the cable mode.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Kym, I'm just a couple of years younger than you, but I have my CDs.
Like 15.
And I still no, not that. There's not that. But I have all my CDs still in the book. This is what's left. The whole binder is like gone, but all I've got is all the pages still together in my clump of CDs here. So yeah. So I'm not letting go of these. These are mine.
You guys will love this, and our listeners will love this. So the other day it was outside kicking the soccer ball around with my daughter, and we were talking about school, and she's like, her teacher, she's like, well, he was saying that he downloads music to his Apple. I'm like, oh, he's talking about his phone or something. But she's like, no, who downloads music? What about Spotify and YouTube? I'm like, yeah, people don't. Yeah, like I remember Tim's tapes. I got books of CDs, and yeah, I'm like, yeah, not everyone streams music. So you couldn't wrap her head around it.
My daughter is interested in historical artifacts. So we have we invested in an old Honda because Hondas live forever. And so we're like, okay, we got a single owner Honda 2000 Honda CRV, right? So it's got the cassette and the CDs. And so we're like, we should get some cassettes. So we have cassettes from we've got ELO. So it's even older than what would have been new in the CRV. ELO and what are those guys? From the 80s. Hall & Oates, right?
Oh yeah.
Hall & Oates and some Beatles. And some like really old stuff like crooner 40s stuff, because we found those on cassette. But so it's a cassette player, and it does that cool thing where it flips the tape for you automatically.
Oh, that's the best.
Oh, I know, but those will eat tape sometimes.
And then you need a pencil to screw it back.
Right. So my daughter knows. I'm like, you have to smack it on the side of your thigh to get it to go again to start. And if that loosens it up, or you do the twisting. And so she is aware.
Well, the old Nintendo cartridges, you just had to blow in the bottom of them,
which didn't do anything.
What? No,
yes,
you're a liar.
They came out and said blowing in the cartridge did nothing, but everyone does it.
That was probably to prevent people from suing them from passing out after trying to blow a Nintendo cartridge.
It's like, it's not working. I gotta do more. Oh, that's funny.
You're having
I need to get my book of CDs out because I have them. I actually did get rid of all my cassettes. I actually grabbed the ones that I didn't have. Anyway, those no longer are in my home. But I feel
like this weird anxiety about buying digital content because I don't keep track of it well, and it's not a physical thing.
It's valid.
So when I'm a big gamer, so I have all the consoles, and I buy a digital game, and I'm like, okay, well, did I buy it? And I sometimes end up rebuying the same game on a different console because it wasn't actually a hard thing that I bought. And I have a lot of trouble keeping track of digital content, but also digital content is harder to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we bought it on one device, but now we want to play it on our Roku, and we own the content. We must have bought the movie Coraline, which is a favorite in my household, like 13 times by now, because it was like we were somewhere and the kids wanted to watch it, and we don't have access to insert the account. So I feel like we're repaying for the same content over and over now.
Well, that's what they want you to do.
Well, I'm doing it.
Sign me up.
I am doing it.
It's like I said, you know, we're seeding back into like the dark ages again. Like we reached a pinnacle. That pinnacle with your library of sleeves, Tim, right there.
Who's not kicking
Sleeves.
themselves for getting rid of all their records now?
I was
Oh,
gonna say
good
I've started
God.
to I've started to like buy those like as they show up, you know. We did a whole episode about vinyl.
Can't do it.
On it.
Can't
You
do it. I
can't-
never
I-
liked vinyl and never will.
Oh, see, there is
It's
something
not for
to
you, but
that.
it's for the rest of us.
There is something to that sound though of vinyl. I do agree. You know, Nick Cage said that during The Rock. You know, it's like, why would you spend $500 on a Beatles vinyl? It's like, because it sounds better. It's like that's.
I don't really. I mean, the hiss and the pops are not natural to the songs and the music, so it's actually doesn't sound better.
It's a nostalgia.
Okay, I'll give you that, but it doesn't sound better.
Well, they could just put that noise
They're
on top
not
of a
playing
CD
a
and call it a
lyre.
day.
I'm sure there are
Electric.
filters on like yeah.
Oh yeah, they
What
can
was that?
put filters on anything nowadays.
So I bought this. Oh my gosh, it's hurting my elbow.
Look at her with the phone.
Rotary
Oh,
phone.
look at the rotary
Nice.
phone.
It's rotary, but microphone and speaker. That's what this is, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And this does actually work. I can hook it up. But I'm curious, like this is vintage, I think 40s. So I'm like, I'm really wanting to, this is the speaker. So like I would have to put a microphone by the speaker to catch the audio from this mic. But I'm
Mhm.
like, I would, one of the list of things to do when I have nothing else to do is play with the sounds of this and like record it passing through.
I get you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would to catch like some really old timey. I'm sure there's already a thing, a filter, whatever. But no, I want the real thing and like capture.
You want to create your own filter?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like anyway, to be like because it sounds different. The other cool thing about these phones is, and remember this, okay, go back in time when you held it to your face. You held the phone hand to your face. You sometimes would go like this. This one doesn't do that, but you heard this. You heard your own voice back to yourself a little bit, just a little bit. That does not happen anymore. So if
Unless you buy the toy.
miss that.
Yeah.
There was
the toy.
also the whole phone cord dance, which was like, hold on, I'm making dinner. And then you
Yeah.
would be like,
Uh-huh.
hold on, I'm
The
tangled
Yeah.
up.
phone cord.
There was like
the
a whole
limbo.
phone
Or someone's
cord
walking
dance.
by and you pick up the cord.
Or you had to
Yeah.
like hang the receiver from the cord so that the cord would unwind itself because you'd walked around in so many circles. It was now a giant
Yeah.
knot.
Yep.
Okay, just for us on the 9.
That's old school.
Yeah. So hey Murphy, so this is the big question since your daughter is right around that you know early teens years. Does she know how to use that?
Yeah, because yes, because actually the easier way of I don't know if it would be exactly the same. I have to leave in a few minutes, but we got a military surplus field kit. Phone kit. So kit to kit. So if we run speaker wire between the two, I don't know what the full length could be, but I bet it's like 50 feet. So it's
Probably
got
more.
this kit on the one side.
Probably more, yeah.
Yeah, probably more because Army, they're out.
Oh,
in
it's
the
not
war.
that. It uses low single, so you can travel farther.
Probably like 200, 300 feet, probably, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
So-
maybe that might be pushing. I
I'd
would say
say
maybe
220.
100, 150, I would say. With no repeater or booster.
No repeater. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sorry, Murphy, continue.
I don't even remember what the question was, but we have that as well. So she played with that when she was a kid because I wanted her to know this is what it's like. And that one was more fun than the nerd toys because that's the problem with kids. Like, do they care? And the girl technology, the girl nerd thing is a hard sell because they don't always just fall in love with the wanting to learn the technology. But when somebody's talking, that was a winner. So for a little bit, we had her playing with her friends on that one. So, and teaching her how to create a circuit and all that. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's
A while
awesome.
ago. Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, so I mean, this is like this stuff has roots, and that's one of the things too from War Games. I'm like, Veronica, he took the drawer out. Let's learn how to take so that he could get, because they were locked, and he got something to create a circuit so he could break himself out of the doctor's office and save the world. Like you have to be curious about things in the environment around you, kind of know how things work so that you can just in general, So I taught her
MacGyver.
how to pull the drawers out
Mhm.
in our kitchen, like you do the lifting thing, which I trust her not to use the knowledge poorly, but
She'll use it for good. Have faith.
yeah, be responsible. But like, yeah, be curious about this, because it was a really inspiring movie to be like, yeah, this kid who she could totally like say, this is somebody like me. This is not some boring adult. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
You know, you might like the show I used to love watching. It's off now, but it's called Person of Interest.
Ooh,
That was a good.
that,
Okay, I'll look
You ever
out for
watch
that.
that?
so I've seen some episodes, but not like regularly. I should probably go back and go
Yeah.
through that series. Although I
Yeah.
also have been told I need to watch like the IT Crowd and all
IT
that
Crowd,
too. So
definitely highly
yeah.
recommend that. But Person of Interest, basically what it is guy creates this technology for the government that can track anybody, and actually it got so good at predicting crimes that it would even find those like one-on-one crime, like someone might murder their wife or something like that, and the government didn't care about that, so they would just ignore those ones and went for the big terrorist ones. And the guy who created it didn't like that, so he had a back door where he would get was a social security number, and he didn't know they were the good guys or the bad guys. See you, Murph.
Oh, I gotta go, guys.
Bye, Murphy.
Thank you. See you next week.
So, but it's a great show. Great show.
yeah. I was saying, it totally reminds me of Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Like, and that we could have a whole episode about like the technology that's in that that movie, and also just the ethical part of future crime, as they put it. So
Oh yeah.
that could be, yeah. Well, I guess in a way we should also be wrapping up anyhow. So I know we've lost Murphy and Renee at this point. And now
Gotta go,
and then
guys. See
Oh,
you
we got Kym.
later.
yeah, yeah. This is where we wrap things up now. So
That's awesome. This was so fun.
yeah, so good to have you back, Kym. Thank you so much.
Oh, I am
And,
so happy to be back. I missed you guys a lot.
man, we missed you too. We really did.
We
So
have so much to talk about.
I know there's so much. And you know what? Next week we bring back the what's the word? The
Firing range.
area, the
Oh,
firing
thank
range. Yes. Thank you. Yes. We've been waiting to hear you in that role again. We do our best to fill in, but there's just it's got to be you, Kym, is what it boils down to.
I will be there. We actually got new Wi-Fi in my house, and the password actually has pew pew in it because it became
That's awesome.
in my house. But I won't tell you exactly what it is so that no one steals my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no,
Too
James
late.
wouldn't allow it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Too late.
You've given them too much. They know too much.
You're gonna steal my Wi-Fi.
They got to find you first.
Yeah, I'm really hard to track down. When I wake up in the morning, if there's like 18 vans parked in front of my house, I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
Shh, they're listening.
Wolverines.
There you go.
All right. Well, James, also a pleasure to have you on. And
to be on.
as always. And to all of our listeners, thanks for listening in. Next week is the firing range. Go back and go see Joe Way turn into a leprechaun. And from last week. April's going to be a little bit of a up and down month because of, you know, Easter and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a busy month. So yeah, so keep listening in, and until our next adventure.